Good morning, good morning. Sorry. Some settings changed and I had to fix it. Right before I turned on the camera, I realized it was the FaceTime camera. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is having a good start to their day. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, and I still need to move this. All right, there we go. Good morning, Tash, Jen, Amanda, Lisa, Charmaine, Disney Nerd. Hopefully, I didn't miss anybody. All right. Well, like every morning, a lot of stuff has happened. There was another execution. I found Moodang has a live stream, so that's good. I love that hippo. It brings me great joy. So, oh, my hold on, my Alexa thinks that I was talking to it. Pasta vibes, I love it. All right, let me see.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Sorry, I got like a tickle in my throat, so I really hate that YouTube added like this weird view. I just want full screen. Thank you. Oh, the G is silent. Sorry. Pasta vibes. All right, so we had talked about U.S. Marshals finding missing people and doing some other stuff, sorry, all over the country. So 724 suspects were taken off the streets in San Antonio by the U.S. Marshals. That's a lot of people.
At 5, more than 724 suspects who the U.S. Marshal Service says are violent fugitives are now off the streets in San Antonio. So the arrests were part of an initiative dubbed Operation North Star. It happened in 10 cities across the U.S. from May to September. Now, the feds say the arrest here in our city included 21 for homicide, 100 for sex offenses, along with hundreds of others for robbery, assault, and firearms violations.
Operation North Star doesn't come easily. It requires lots of planning. It requires agencies committed to not just making our community safe, I think especially committed to violent crime and its reduction.
Investigators say local investigators also seized firearms, drugs, and more than $32,000 in cash.
Anyone living here in the early 90s.
Those barrels of bullets are terrifying. I don't even know how many bullets that holds. Probably a lot. Let me see. And like that's becoming more and more popular. I've seen that a lot. Excuse me, a lot in Chicago, especially in their rap videos. Like, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna Google better because clearly I'm not Googling very well to find it because I want to find out how many bullets are in there. So, a man that was convicted of a 1989 child abduction is back in prison after having contact with kids. So this is out of the Washington area and is from their local news station there. So if you live in that area, definitely keep an eye out for this guy because he can't help himself, it seems like.
Will never forget the heartbreaking disappearance of 5-year-old Melissa and the sensational trial that followed. Caleb Hughes was found guilty of abduction with intent to defile in March of 1991 and sentenced to 50 years in prison. But News 4 has learned after his release in 2019, Hughes moved to Rocky Mount, Virginia, where sources familiar with the investigation say he came up with an elaborate false cover story and befriended co-workers with young children. He was arrested in June after one of those coworkers found Hughes listed on the Virginia Sex Offender Registry. According to a source familiar with the investigation, Caleb Hughes told coworkers that he was a veteran whose wife had died of cancer, and he moved to Rocky Mount to escape the sad memories. As the months went by and the friendships between Hughes and his coworkers grew, Hughes offered to babysit the children. Tammy Brannon, Melissa's mom, says she was contacted by one of the parents after learning Hughes' true identity.
I don't know the extent of what may have happened to those children, but those children were at a minimum placed in danger. And it was just extremely upsetting to me that he would be given that opportunity to do that again to another child.
A source familiar with the investigation says Hughes babysat a 9-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl multiple times during a 5-month span. Tammy Brannon says as a victim, she is privy to certain information and was also told the parole board began an investigation and the parents of the children were asked to turn over photos of gifts Hughes allegedly gave the children.
They had been requested to submit pictures of all of these gifts and pictures of his presents and pictures of him playing with the kids in the pool.
In a statement, the Department of Corrections said the referenced individual was arrested on May 31st, 2024 for violating sex offender special instructions. Those special instructions included not having contact with anyone under the age of 18. In December 1989 and most of 1990, Caleb Hughes was the subject of an intense investigation. Police quickly identified him as a person of interest who had attended the holiday party. Prosecutors discovered what they described as incriminating fibers in his car and a gap in time he was unable to account for the night Melissa disappeared.
Check everywhere!
There was an intense search for the missing 5-year-old, and her photo appeared regularly on the nightly news. Melissa has never been found. And now, this.
As she continued telling me her story, it was very clear and how upset she was, and also, you know, it was very upsetting. You know, we did try to get him civilly committed once his maximum sentence was up, and that proposal was rejected because he was determined not to be a threat.
Caleb Hughes is going back to prison. His new release date is in 2039. In order to protect the children, News 4 is not revealing where Caleb Hughes was working. A source familiar with the investigation says parole agents have questioned the parents and the children have been receiving counseling. Hughes is not facing any new criminal charges.
Thank God. He's going to be in prison until 2039 at least. Well, hopefully they don't like cut time off, because I don't know I don't know how many years he was sentenced. So, but it sounds like they already know the date, so hopefully that's actually accurate, because most of the time, you know, they'll say 30 years, but it's really they could be out in 15 for parole or whatever. So something that we have discussed a lot is road rage and just people being so angry all the time. So, like, I don't even want to confront people or talk to them if there's an issue. So a lot of times people get away with their bad behavior because people are afraid to confront them. And I wish that we could just talk to one another and, you know, work things out. Like, oh, your music's really loud. Could you turn it down a little? Sure, no problem. I wish it was that easy. But it's not. Good morning, Silly Pick. I don't know either, Tash. I will never understand why they let them out in the first place. Just throw away the key. The unfortunate thing with the system when it comes to sex offenders, I don't feel like that they get enough time for the things that they do. I feel like it's a lot less than it is for such an impactful crime. A lot of people that have been on intervention or hoarders or my 600-pound life, how many of them had been molested? Like, that's a very traumatic thing. And then because they were molested, they'll turn to drugs or drinking, and they don't know how to deal with the pain of what happened to them and that trauma. Like, that level of trauma is life altering. And for something like that, they should get more than a few years. Molesting, rape, homicide, they're all very, very impactful crimes. And obviously, homicide's going to impact the loved ones. But it's just such an impactful thing. And then, and he was convicted of the child abduction, so they think that he killed her, but they can't find the body. So, like, why do you want someone like that back out? Even if they're older, it doesn't mean that they can't do stuff. Good morning, Ricky. But, ugh, predators make my skin crawl. It's so gross. Anyway, so what I was talking about rage. So a neighbor, well, maybe not a neighbor, a person heard a driver with really loud music and tried to talk to them and then ended up getting shot. So that's what I was getting at. Like, you can't confront anybody. You can't confront a reckless driver. Wait, was this the music one? I could be wrong. Sorry. No, no, no. That was wrong. They're a reckless driver. They tried to stop a reckless driver. There's another one where someone got shot because of music, but maybe it's the same story. But someone got shot over music too in San Antonio or Houston. Texas, there's a lot of shootings. Sometimes I get confused. But all right, so we're going to watch this San Antonio video real quick. Come on, Ken's 5. Yeah, and I'm not. I understand the intention of somebody trying to stop a reckless driver, but like I said, the way that people are, I'm just gonna call the cops. Like, I saw a naked guy once in the HOV lane, like, just chilling on the concrete barriers in Houston. I certainly was not going to stop. I called the police, though. I called 911 because I was worried that he was gonna get hurt, and he's probably on drugs. I'm certainly not going to intervene. One time I saw a guy passed out at a gas station, and he was like laying where you turn into the gas station, and you could barely see him, and I was worried someone was going to run over him. So I called 911, and they're like, "Is he breathing?" I'm like, "I don't know." They're like, "Can you check?" No, absolutely not. I'm calling you to let you know if he, yeah, I'm not touching him. I don't know what's wrong with him. Please come.
Sarah Frugani with KENS 5 News Now. A driver who was supposedly trying to stop a reckless driver from doing donuts ended up getting shot. Police say the young victim was driving home around 10 last night when he spotted a driver doing donuts in a neighborhood on Timber Hill Drive on the northwest side. The victim then decided to drive around in circles to try and stop that driver. Suddenly, police say that person started shooting. The young man was hit on the shoulder but was treated unseen. Officers are now looking for a blue Dodge Charger that the shooter was driving. If you have any information, call SAPD. The store clerk caught in the middle of a bizarre shooting inside a convenience store says everyone was confused when that gun went off.
I heard the pop, something pop. Nothing loud really. So I looked around really quick to see if someone busted a bottle or so.
Turns out a man dropped his backpack and a gun inside it went off, hitting a 31-year-old shopper. Police say this is video from Sunday night as everything was unfolding at the Stop and Shop off of North New Braunfels. You can see the man highlighted on the bottom right of the screen dropping the bag. The owner of that backpack walked off and has not been caught. The man who was hit suffered non-life-threatening injuries. If you recognize this suspect, call SAPD. The woman police say ran over her neighbor in their north.
Don't put your gun in a backpack, especially with like no safety or a safety off. Like, that's so dangerous. It could get jiggled around, something could hit it. Yeah, so going back to the reckless driver, Dodge Charger, raise your hand if you're surprised. It's always a Dodge Charger or Challenger. Another time I called the police. I've called the cops a lot. Another time I called the cops was because somebody was in between my two apartment buildings when I lived in an apartment in Houston. And I can't remember if it was a Charger or a Challenger. It was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they had the sound system in the car that I wish that I had when I was in my 20s. Like, it was so loud. It was so incredibly loud, and it shook the windows. Like 20-year-old me is like, "Oh my God," but like 40-year-old me is like, "I'm trying to sleep. Could you not?" And just in between the two buildings and like obviously intoxicated, and then when people would come into the parking lot, he was like chasing them out, and he's pulling up his like grabbing at his pants and stuff like he had a gun, and but I couldn't see a gun. So I called 911 and I told them like he's trying to fight people, he's doing this, he's doing that. He might have a gun, but I don't know because I'm not going to tell somebody that this guy has a gun when I don't know and send the cops thinking that he's got a gun if he might not. That's just not a good situation for either one of them. And yeah, like I would feel horrible if somebody got caught because of something I said. Or not caught, hurt. I want them to get caught. Uh, that's just not something I can live with. So yeah, but next time, because it took so long for the cops to come, it took 4.5 hours. Maybe next time I will say that they have some sort of weapon because it took 4.5 hours for them to come with multiple people calling 911. Which was crazy. Like multiple people are calling 911 and the cops aren't coming for 4.5 hours. Yeah. So I don't believe that they'll come if I really need them. Just because it takes so long. They were caught up with the DUI. I can't blame them because they were caught up, and there's only so many police patrolling each area. And after that, I figured out what patrol area I was in and how many cops were actually in that area. And it was like five or six, which is not much. So if you want to know why police response time's low, check your patrol area. I would like to see a smart car do donuts. I want some donuts. There's a fabulous donut place down the street, and I should have never went to that place because now I just want their donuts, and that's not healthy. Good morning, Poke Mom. All right. And yeah, don't confront reckless drivers. Don't confront anybody, really. Just call the cops. Just call the police. Unless you have to intervene to like save somebody's life, and you want to intervene, then do that. But generally call the police because it's really not worth getting shot or your life. And don't keep guns in backpacks without a safety and loaded. Don't do that either.
Northwest Side neighborhood after a feud is now charged with murder. 58-year-old Anna O'Rourke is accused of killing 56-year-old Stephen Sanders. Apparently, they had been feuding for years. Neighbors tell us O'Rourke had issues with several people in the area, while the man was a nice guy who mowed their lawns and fixed their fences.
We try to all be neighbors here, but she was like our main problem, nonstop fighting. She kept getting worse and worse.
Actually built a tree house in my backyard for me. Taught me how to cut wood.
O'Rourke is now being held at the Bexar County Jail on a $150,000 bond. A suspected serial killer who admitted to killing 2 people and could be connected to at least 10 other cold cases dating back to 1996 will spend the rest of his life in prison. Raul Mesa pled guilty to killing a woman in 2019 and a man in 2023. Police say he also confessed to a double murder in San Antonio after he was arrested in Austin last year. Mesa was first convicted of killing an 8-year-old girl in the early 90s, but served less than half of his 30-year prison sentence before being released. And as part of his plea deal now, he'll avoid the death penalty, but will not be eligible for parole. At last check, SAPD was working with Austin police to confirm if he's connected to other cases. Postal workers in San Antonio are joining others across.
Another serial killer caught. He was only caught last year, and I just don't understand how you can serve 15 years for murdering an 8-year-old. I don't understand. Like, if it's an accident or something, okay, maybe, but like, if you intentionally do something that horrific, is there really truly any redemption for that?
Across the country for a day of action to raise awareness to their current conditions. The group is part of the American Postal Workers Union, which plans similar demonstrations in 90 other cities across the country. Workers are complaining about a decline in staffing, among other things, and they want the government to better invest in the Postal Service. This all comes ahead of a very important time for traditional mail, with the November general election just over a month out. Southwest Airlines will not get its way after a federal judge ruled in favor of the city of San Antonio. The airline filed a lawsuit trying to delay the start of lease agreements between the San Antonio International Airport and 8 other airliners. However, the judge ruled the lease agreements can start today as initially planned. Southwest has been fighting to get a space in the new terminal, while the city wants the airline to stay in its current terminal. Southwest would not sign a lease agreement and will now have to pay millions more in rent to the city.
Yikes. Southwest is interesting. I'm pretty sure Southwest has stopped like any train projects between Houston and Dallas and stuff like that because a lot of their business is flying between uh, Texas cities. Yeah, and the UPS has been, or the United States Postal Service, I feel like has been short staffed for a while, but I also feel that a lot of businesses have been really short staffed since the pandemic. I think they cut the staff down to the bare minimum and then they realized how much money they could save. And then they're like, we're going to leave it like that, even though it sucks. Like, it sucks for the workers, the customer service suffers, it all suffers, but hey, they're saving money. That's my opinion on that. And back to the story about the neighbor that ran over her other neighbor. It looks like it was her that was the aggressor and the issue because the other neighbor said that she was the problem and he seemed like a really nice guy. He even helped a kid make a treehouse. I didn't know that people actually had tree houses. I thought it was something that was just in sitcoms because I've never met anybody that has a tree house. So yeah, I didn't think that they were real. Anyway.
That we've talked about is the use and lease agreement is critical to how we operate going forward and how we fund additional projects like the new terminal.
For now, the airline will move forward with its lawsuit against the city. Dozens of newly hatched horned lizards are set to be released back to a restored wildlife site. This is a way to help restore the wild population of lizards in our backyard.
They're
Now,
so
you might
cute.
remember in August, we told you that these little guys had just hatched at the San Antonio Zoo. Since 2017, the zoo says more than 208 Texas horned lizards have been released into the wild. As for today's forecast, Palmera.
No, we don't need the forecast. Thank
planes
you.
out there.
Okay, thanks. Bye. Those lizards were so cute. Oh my gosh. I appreciate those lizards so much. It's always nice to have a little break of
Sarah Frugani with KENS 5 News
cuteness.
now.
Calm down. Thank you. So another shooting that happened in Texas was at an HEB. This was in Austin. The story that I had read is that there was a homeless man in HEB and was being aggressive, had a knife, and the security guard tried a taser and that didn't work, so then he ended up shooting him. I don't know if that's what actually happened, so let's see if the story has different information. But yeah, HEB. That side, yeah. I mean, it is Austin. I don't know what part of Austin that this was in. Austin's kind of known for having a lot of homeless people. Oh, let's see. I need to close that, hit the video, and here we go.
He just killed him, no? A trip to the grocery store turned deadly for shoppers at the North Austin H-E-B Friday. APD was initially responding to a trespass call on Canyon Ridge Drive in the Tech Ridge Center when multiple 911 calls came in about a shooting. One witness who wishes to remain anonymous says he heard 6 or 7 shots, and days later, emotions are still raw.
I'm still shaking up. I don't want to see that parking lot. I don't, it's been difficult.
One man was taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds where he later died. No one else was injured. HEB sending us a statement that reads, quote, "This incident involved a third-party security guard, not an HEB employee. HEB continues to work closely with local law enforcement on this matter. Any additional details will come from law enforcement," end quote. Michael Matrenga is the CEO of a security consulting firm in Texas. He says typically HEB hires and contracts what is considered in the state of Texas as a Class 3 or Class 4 licensed armed officer. Matrenga says those officers have the ability, if their life is threatened or an individual's life is threatened, to cause bodily harm, injury, or death. They have the right to use lethal force to protect themselves or others.
From preliminary reports, it appears that this individual came towards or made an assertive movement towards the officer with an edged weapon.
He says the contracted individuals have to undergo not only a physical training, but use of force training. As for what weapons they carry, it depends on the company.
You definitely have, if you're a Class 3 or Class 4 armed security officer, you have a pistol. Some may allow their officers to carry OC spray or a baton or a taser to subdue a would-be attacker. And based upon the use of force continuum and how their company has trained them.
The witness we spoke with still had questions.
What are they guarding? What is the point of a gun?
Matrenga says at the end of the day,
I think the most important thing is that people obviously who are patrons of HEB need to understand that they have to look out for the best interest of their patrons, and those individuals that are assigned to that location and in other locations are there to protect them.
Police say it was not an active shooter incident. Monday night, APD had not identified the person who died.
New at 6:30 from.
That was a quick transfer. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the security guard really had a choice. I did see in the comments of something else, like what de-escalation was used and stuff like that. I don't know, but maybe he couldn't reason with him. There's some people that you can't, but again, I don't know. So I think this story is in Las Vegas. Let me see. Yes, this story is coming out of Las Vegas. So this was a sting, kind of like To Catch a Predator, where they do online chats. And in this sting, they were able to arrest 18 people. I loved watching To Catch a Predator. I know, I think Chris Hansen has another show that's similar. Sometimes I watch that on YouTube. And I met Chris Hansen, not this CrimeCon, but last CrimeCon. I did the meet and greet and waited in line and all that. I waited for a while to see her and Nancy Grace. But anyway, I'm always happy when predators get arrested, especially before they're able to have, something happen with a kid.
From our 8 News Now investigators, disturbing details emerging from a police sex sting that happened in North Las Vegas.
Police arrested 18 men, all accused of meeting police decoys they thought were minors. 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne obtained and reviewed all 18 police reports. Kyle.
Denise, Brian, when one of those 18 men was arrested after 11 p.m. one night this summer, he asked police, quote, "You guys catching predators?" And reading the details of all 18 police reports, one might draw the same conclusion. All 18 men were nabbed by North Las Vegas police in a sting which included Metro, the FBI, and North Las Vegas and Henderson PDs. They range in age from 22 all the way to 60, but regardless of the age of these men, the decoys with whom they were speaking were generally posing as 13 to 15-year-old boys and girls. Like this man, who thought he was meeting a 15-year-old girl to whom he spoke graphically of sex, providing the decoy photos of himself, but when he got busted, he told cops in his own defense, quote, "I knew what this was." That he was there to, quote, catch the sick SOB, and that he only said sexual things to the decoy because he was, quote, playing along, and wanted to, quote, catch her in another lie. He, like several of the 18 men, agreed to take a polygraph and write an apology letter. He is now out of jail on $20,000 bail. And there's this man who admitted to police the boy he was talking to said he was 13. But he, too, was talking with a decoy. When he got busted, he told police he brought condoms, but, quote, for sexual encounters with older men. He says he has an addiction to masturbation and has a problem and needs help. Initially, he told the cops he wanted to get caught and never intended on having sex with a 13-year-old boy. But eventually, he said he wanted to do just that. This man, in his 60s, spoke with a decoy posing as the father of an 8-year-old girl. And the two discussed, quote, sexual contact with that girl that included taking off her clothing, touching her body, and other things not suitable for television regardless of age. He told police he wanted to talk about his side of the story, that his conversation was, quote, all fantasy. Even though he told the decoy, quote, fantasy is safer than reality, but if you really are real, let's meet. That man declined a polygraph. Some of these defendants will be indicted by a grand jury, according to court documents. Others had their cases moved from justice court to district court, Brian.
All right, Kyle, thank you for that. All 18 men were charged with luring a minor, a child, with a computer to engage in sex.
I was actually I got another story. I got a lot of stories today. I was on a jury for a case like this. It was a guy talking to what he thought was a woman with a young daughter and trying to talk him into like doing stuff with all of them and stuff like that. And his defense was, he really wasn't going to do it. He just wanted the mom and stuff like that. But my mind was pretty made up. They had 2 mistrials before we were there. And the only reason I had figured that out was in the testimony, somebody had mentioned another trial because we wouldn't have known otherwise. And yeah, we ended up getting a conviction. I dug my heels in, was not gonna take anything but guilty. And yeah, we got guilty because I didn't believe a word of his defense at all. His defense attorney was really good. So good I asked him for his card when it was over. Hopefully I'll never need it, but good morning, Debbie, Missy, defense attorney, Jamie. Thank you guys for stopping in. But yeah. There was one lady that didn't think there was a crime because there was no victim, like actual victim on the jury, and I just kept reading the chat over and over until she agreed that it was a problem, and it was a pretty vile, disgusting chat. But I don't regret it because he definitely deserved being convicted. Anyway. A 4-year-old was left alone on a school bus in Warsaw. Don't 4-year-olds like not be in school yet? I guess that could be a daycare. Did 4-year-olds go to school? No, right? You have to be 5 to go to kindergarten? Well, I don't know. Let's find out.
Now, first night, we continue to investigate a situation in Warsaw where a 4-year-old was left on a school bus for over 2 hours. Now, Amelia Tibbetts was on her way to pre-K at Warsaw Elementary School on Monday, September 16th, but didn't get off the bus before the driver parked and left, leaving Amelia alone. KHQA's Ben Schmidt is working for you to share what answers the family is hoping to get from the school.
James Phillips put both of his grandchildren on the school bus on Monday, September 16th, just like any other morning. And nearly 3 hours later, a terrifying discovery occurred when his granddaughter, Amelia Tibbetts, didn't get back off the bus.
We didn't even get an absent notice from the school saying she was even gone. I'd have been up there at 9:30, or whatever they take roll, 8:30. You know, she wasn't at school. Oh, absent. Notify the people. And that still hasn't been rectified.
According to a Warsaw School District accident report form, the bus was parked at 8:10 a.m. under no cover with Amelia still on it. It wasn't until closer to 10:30 when she was discovered by a nearby teacher after honking the horn. But according to the family, they were not notified by the school, and it took them calling after Amelia didn't get off the bus at 10:45, along with reporting it to the sheriff's department themselves.
It's amazing. I don't have any clue how that could happen. I mean, I know the buses aren't right in the school or next to the school, but still, you gotta check.
Once Phillips made the quick trip over to the school, it was very emotional once he saw his granddaughter face to face.
The worst and best. The worst feeling, oh my God, I lost a child, you know, especially my grandchild. I said, well, my daughter's probably gonna kill me. And then seeing her, and then her seeing me and waving, oh, yeah, I was gonna cry. I may cry again.
Even after Amelia was found, the incident has taken a toll.
I went through that the whole night. I had like nightmares. What ifs going through your mind? What if? What if? If it was 100 degrees like it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, she could have been, you know, gone. I mean, she had her Gatorade in her sippy cup, and she drank that, thank God, you know, but I don't know how hot it was on the bus or that day.
The family says they want to bring more awareness to the situation to ensure the school district keeps it from happening again. Both the Hancock County Sheriff's Office and the school district has yet to receive a copy of the bus footage. Working for you, I'm Ben Schmidt.
That's terrifying. That poor baby. I had no idea that pre-K got bused, or that they had it in school. Like, I don't know where I thought it was. I just didn't think that they had actual pre-K classrooms in schools. I thought it was like somewhere else or daycare or whatever. But I don't have children. What do I know? And I only know from when I was a kid, and I know things have changed a lot. But yeah, that's super scary. Oh, oh, what a cute baby. Oh my God, so cute. So freaking cute. That poor granddad. He seems like a cool granddad. He was probably a pretty cool dude. But I'm glad it turned out okay. So in St. Louis, a woman was shot at the casino, but thankfully the suspect's been arrested. I don't think I want to go to a casino. I don't want to go. I don't want to gamble my money, and I feel like if I win any money, someone's going to want to take it. So I'm good. I'm super good. Let me see. I've never been to St. Louis, have I? No, I've never been to St. Louis. How did the school not get called? Yeah, I know that the school normally calls if someone's absent, but I guess maybe they figure they don't have to do it with kids that young. I have no idea. But I know when you're older, they definitely call. I want to make sure you're not skipping. I skipped. I always went to ROTC though, because I knew that they would definitely notice I wasn't there. Other teachers, not so much.
Critically injured after being shot at Ameristar Casino over the weekend. Fox 2's Laura Simon live in St. Charles for us with the latest on this investigation. Laura?
Margie, we are finding out a 27-year-old woman was shot in the neck in this parking garage at the Ameristar Casino over the weekend. And before she was rushed into emergency surgery, police say she was able to identify the shooter as her boyfriend. And she was fighting for her life in the hospital at last check. But it all happened around 2:30 in the morning on Saturday. And her injuries are considered to be life-threatening. I am texting with police right now, and they say they have no further updates other than what they released to me over the weekend. But police say they did arrest a suspect identified as 50-year-old Calvin Kuong of St. Louis. He is facing several serious charges, including assault, kidnapping and armed criminal action. He's being held in jail this morning on a $500,000 cash-only bond. Police confirming the victim and suspect were in a relationship. Investigators have not released the victim's name at this point, but do say she's from Malaysia. And I have reached out to police, still working to confirm exactly that woman's condition this morning, but I was in communication with a lieutenant over the weekend, and I just reached out asking if she is still in critical condition, that victim, and we will keep you posted with any updates as we get them. Live here in St. Charles this morning, Laura Simon, Fox 2 News.
I wonder if she worked at the casino and her boyfriend, that he knew that she was going to be there. That's sad. I hope she survives. There's way too many domestic violence stories too. I was thinking it was going to be a robbery, but no, even though that does happen a lot in casinos and places with large sums of money. So I can't remember if this person's a TikToker or what. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to look up their name. Prada, is it? Okay, so there is a TikTok creator. Hold on, let me read the chat before I get into all that. If I go to the casino, I only go through a predetermined amount of oof money. And if I lose it all, I just stop. Yeah, that's what I do. Like $50. Do the slot machines. That's it. That's all I ever do. But I did that on cruise ships, not like actual casinos. Yeah, that's what I'll do. But like I said, it's only been cruise ships. Limit what you spend. 40, 50 once gone. Penny machines. Yes, I love the penny machines. So a Baton Rouge therapist was murdered, and one of his patients is a TikTok creator. And they have released information about the suspect, and it looks an awful lot like this big TikTok creator, Mr. Prada. I have a couple videos I'm going to play on that.
Deputies confirm they found a prominent Baton Rouge therapist wrapped in a tarp, dead Sunday morning.
Chris Joseph is live in Hammond with details.
Yeah, when a passerby found it, of course, they alerted authorities, and when deputies came upon the scene, they found Abraham in the ditch, seemingly uncovered from the road. There's very little on Highway 51 near Fluker, but this largely desolate area is now part of a homicide investigation. After being alerted by a passerby, Tangipahoa Parish deputies found William Nicholas Abraham dead Sunday morning in a ditch, wrapped in a tarp.
Obviously, it was a very physical and violent death.
Sheriff Gerald Sticker says Abraham suffered blunt force trauma to the head and neck. He says investigators believe he was killed elsewhere, then dumped overnight. Sticker says the office is not aware of any connection Abraham may have to the area at this point.
Society that we live in, there's an element of violence. There are evil people in this world.
Abraham's website described him as a former Catholic priest, a motivational speaker, an author, and a host. His attorney says he had a giving soul.
I'm absolutely devastated and completely surprised that something like that could have happened to a man who I believe to be so tender, so gentle, and have such a service heart.
Sticker says investigators are still looking for suspects. So the sheriff says, of course, this investigation is still in the early stages, but asks anyone at home, if you know anything about what may have happened, reach out. Obviously, that would help move the investigation forward. Reporting in Tangipahoa Parish, Chris Joseph, Fox 8 Local First.
Investigators are now looking for this man in connection to the murder of that Baton Rouge therapist. The Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office just released these surveillance videos just tonight.
They believe he was spotted driving the doctor's car this afternoon. Riley Kramer's been following these latest developments. Riley.
Here's another look at this person of interest. Investigators believe he was driving Dr. Nick Abraham's car in Baton Rouge. We're told he sped away from a traffic stop and crashed before running away. Dr. Nick Abraham was found dead, wrapped in a tarp along Highway 51 in Tangipahoa Parish. Investigators say they believe he was killed Saturday evening and his body was dumped on the roadway overnight. Now, investigators say they're looking for this man. They believe he was spotted driving the doctor's car before crashing it near this business off Sherwood Forest in Baton Rouge and running off.
That he was a kind, loving, gentle man, and frankly, not the kind of man that something like this would have happened to.
Abraham was 69 years old and was not just a therapist. He was also a minister, author, speaker, and recording artist. Jarrett Ambo says Abraham was his son's therapist about 20 years ago.
I'm absolutely devastated and completely surprised that something like that could have happened to a man who I believe to be so tender, so gentle, and have such a service heart.
Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff Gerald Sticker described Abraham's death as very violent and very physical, telling WAFB that Abraham died of blunt force trauma to the head, neck, and shoulders.
At this point, we don't know a motive. We know this was a very violent attack, and we don't know if it was, one suspect or multiple.
Sheriff Sticker says they have not recovered any murder weapons, and they don't believe it happened where Abraham's body was found. He says they're still trying to piece together what exactly happened Saturday night. Investigators have searched Dr. Abraham's home and say they did not see any signs of a crime occurring there.
And we're just asking anybody in the public that knows our victim, if they saw him on Saturday evening anytime, please call the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers.
This investigation is a joint effort between BRPD, the East Baton Rouge Sheriff, and Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's offices. Again, if you know anything that can help, call Crime Stoppers 225-344-STOP, 344-7867.
Yeah, so now they've identified him. So Mr. Prada is the guy's name. They've issued a warrant for his arrest. Like, TikTok makes anybody famous. Like, that's definitely a problem. Like, let me show you guys the video about the warrant and him being identified. It's crazy. I don't even have enough followers to go live on TikTok. Cute little ad, Phil Camp.
Good evening. First tonight, Baton Rouge police searching for this man, 20-year-old Terrion Thomas, in connection with the death of William Nicholas Abraham. We showed you these images last night after Tangipahoa deputies released photos of what they described as a person of interest in this case. Abraham's body was found wrapped in a tarp on the side of U.S. Highway 51 in Tangipahoa Parish Sunday morning. And then Monday, Baton Rouge police spotted Abraham's car, which they say Thomas was driving on North Sherwood Boulevard. Officers tried to stop the car, but the driver backed into the police car, ditched the Lincoln, and ran away. We first told you about our app this afternoon that an arrest warrant had been issued for Thomas, known to more than 4 million of his TikTok followers as Mr. Prada. Thomas is wanted for unauthorized use of motor vehicle, aggravated criminal damage to property, and resisting an officer. News 2's Alexis Mary takes us back through the timeline of what has unfolded.
Sylvia, this afternoon, WBRZ went to the clerk of court's office for the arrest warrant issued today for Terrion Ishmael Thomas, a social media influencer.
The alerts started coming in on Sunday. The Tangipahoa Sheriff's Department found a man wrapped in a tarp on Highway 51. Then Monday, deputies released his identity. It was 69-year-old William Nicholas Abraham, a therapist in Baton Rouge.
I was visiting with a friend, and my sister called me and said that it was imperative that I call her back, and so I did. And I was pretty much, I guess, in shock.
Family shared with WBRZ what they know about Abraham's last known hours.
We got, the call just from a passerby Sunday morning, and that was the first time that our deceased hit our radar.
Abraham's roommate says he left home on Saturday, saying he was going to get his car cleaned and would stop by his office to do paperwork. He told his roommate it would take a couple of hours, but he never came home.
We got, the call just from a passerby Sunday morning, and that was the first time that our deceased hit our radar.
Hours later, deputies shared a blurry security image of a man they say was the last known person to have been seen driving Abraham's car. Overnight, that news and a wave of theories spread on social media. Comments identified this picture as Terrion Thomas or Mr. Prada. Tuesday afternoon, the warrant was issued for Thomas in the Sherwood Forest traffic stop. WBRZ was the first to share the details. The warrant doesn't identify Thomas as a suspect in Abraham's killing. That investigation is being handled by the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office.
And the family shared with us that Abraham's funeral is set for Monday in Clarksdale, Mississippi. The family is planning a memorial in Baton Rouge at a later date.
4.3 million followers, and you do that. You know how much money he probably made from TikTok and doing lives and stuff with that many followers? 4.3 million followers, and can create content and make money and does that shit. Like, the therapist sounds like a wonderful person. Did a lot of good in his life, and well, hopefully he is caught soon. I hope that the next episode that I do, he's in prison. Yeah, people suck. They definitely do. Another terrible theme that seems to be happening more and more often is kids killing their parents. Another kid, well, I don't know if he's a kid. It's her son, not a kid. Well, kid, I mean, their spawn, their child. Doesn't have to be a minor. But there's been a lot of familiar murder, people killing inside their family. And this case is, yes, Mr. Prada Mike. That was a guy, yes. So this story is coming out of Phoenix. The details of this case may be graphic. An Arizona mother was found decapitated, and her son is the one that did it. It's a lot of domestic violence, not just with couples, just every kind of family. It seems there's more and more, which stems back to mental health.
The mother is dead, and police say she was a victim of an unspeakable crime. Her son accused by Glendale detectives of stabbing her and beheading her.
Now, we want to warn you, these details are disturbing, as you can imagine. Fox 10's Lauren Clark joins us live now with more. So, Lauren, police say the suspect was just released from jail.
Yes, that's right, John and Christina. Police say that the family told them that the son, Alejandro Gonzalez, who's currently the suspect, was recently released from jail and living with his mother, Teresa. Court documents say that the family said Gonzalez had a mental condition and that they believed he was capable of doing this.
We're going to be talking about a very heinous crime that took place over the weekend that left one of the Valley's families in very desperate and basically terrified shape.
On Friday afternoon, Glendale police says this home was the scene of an unspeakable murder. 49-year-old Teresa de Jesus Cruz Rubio, a beloved teacher at Southwest Key Programs, was found dead. Cop cars and crime scene tape covered the street, alarming neighbors like Dora.
About 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, officers just started showing up, and the whole street was closed off.
Police say Teresa's sister was the last to talk to her late that afternoon. She was calling her to confirm she'd be at a family gathering, which was supposed to be Teresa's surprise birthday party. But when she didn't show, family became worried. They finally got inside her locked home near 43rd Avenue and Bethany Home Road with the help of a locksmith around 11 p.m. That's when they made the gruesome discovery.
The 911 caller stated that a family member was inside of the house and was deceased, and that the victim's head had been cut off.
Brian Hoskin with Glendale PD says officers found the victim under a blanket with multiple stab wounds. Officers noticed the shower was still running and a bloody kitchen knife was in the sink. Teresa's sister told officers her burgundy GMC Yukon she gave Teresa to use was missing. Fox 10 obtained this video of the SUV captured by a neighbor's Ring video leaving the home in the late afternoon. Around 3 a.m., police located the car with Teresa's 25-year-old son, Alejandro Gonzalez. Police say he had injuries on his hands and arms and blood on his clothes. Once in custody, court documents say Gonzalez admitted he stabbed his mother, but told officers he did it after another unknown suspect he was doing drugs with stabbed her first.
Alejandro claimed there was another suspect involved, but no evidence pointed to this as the detectives looked through the scene and all the evidence that they collected.
He's currently booked on first-degree premeditated murder and theft. A judge set bond at $1 million, cash only.
It's horrific to the family who had to endure this. It's horrific to the officers who had to go and see this.
Yeah, and Glendale PD says that there are resources available for both the family and officers who arrived on scene to process this horrific sight. Reporting live here in Glendale, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
That is actually true. Crime does ramp up in heat. I swear crime ramps up with heat. That is statistically correct. The summer is much more violent. Even if you look at Chicago, they have, I think July is like the most violent month for them. And like they should, I know jail is kept cold because people don't want to move around as much. So the fact that some prisons don't have AC in Texas and other southern states seems insane to me. Just because I don't want somebody that's in there for like some minor crime that's, you know, not a violent crime. Maybe they were an addict or something, and, you know, I don't want them to get killed by some super violent offender that's all angry because they're hot. So that's what I think about when it comes to that. But yeah, Google it. Heat does make people violent. So Sean Diddy Combs, 120 additional lawsuits. We talked about Tony Busby the other day, that he was doing 55 lawsuits. He has had over 3,000 people reach out to him and now has 120 new additional lawsuits and assault allegations.
Steph, thank you. We are following breaking news right now related to music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Major new allegations today of sexual assault and exploitation by Combs. For the first time, we are hearing about victims who say they were minors when they were allegedly assaulted by the music star. The youngest allegedly just 9 years old. The allegations were revealed today by attorneys representing more than 100 alleged victims who are preparing to sue. So let's bring in NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas right now. So Chloe, we know there is currently a press conference underway. We do have a live picture of that. Can you just walk us through these new allegations and tell us if we've heard from Combs yet?
So the individual that you see on the screen right now, that is an attorney based out of Houston, Texas, and his name is Tony Busby. He's been a part of some very well-known litigation over the years involving a BP oil spill, even involving the Astroworld Music Festival crisis where some individuals were killed during a stampede. So he has made headlines before, but this is pretty shocking. So he is claiming right now at this press conference that he has had over 3,000 individuals reach out to his law firm in Houston, Texas, that he and his team have been vetting these claims, that now they are representing over 120 accusers, and that over the next 30 days, they will begin to file different civil suits, that this is not a class action lawsuit, that they are going to continue to vet these allegations, but right now they feel strong about these. So he also said today that it's not just Combs that will be named as
a defendant, that there will be other high-profile individuals, some household names. He says, quote, many powerful people, there are many dirty secrets. He says that his team has collected pictures, video, and that the allegations include violent sexual assault or rape, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, dissemination of video recordings, and sexual abuse of minors. So this was something else that they talked about, that there are 25 accusers who were allegedly minors at the time that these allegations took place starting in 1991, span all the way up over 2 decades. He also talks about where these individuals are from. He said that they hail from more than 25 states, New York, California, Florida. We know that Diddy had a residence in Miami, Georgia. We've reached out to Sean Combs' legal team for comment. They have not yet responded. Combs is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn while he is awaiting trial on the New York indictment, where he is charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. Now, I also just want to point out that they also claim that 62% of these individuals are identifying as African American, and that they are evenly split between female accusers and male accusers, and Clay. So this is very interesting. And he said that look, I know that everybody expected me today or wanted me to name other high profile individuals. He says, I'm not going to do that today, but it will come at some point. And he says that these names will shock you.
Wow. I mean, shocking details, to say the very least. And I'm sure just the start of what's to come. Chloe Malas, thanks so much.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff that was going on with Usher when he was a kid, and at one point Usher signed over custody to Diddy for 48 hours for some camp training thing. I don't remember how old Bieber was, but there's lots of videos where Bieber seems really uncomfortable, and I don't know. I have no idea. I hope that nothing happened to him, but I mean, some of his behavior would make sense if it did. I'm really hoping that nothing happened, and I hope Justin is happy. He seems happy now, but we'll see what else comes out. I feel like this is going to be stuff that's going to be coming out for years and years and years. So in the Nashville area, there were 2 cousins, I think that they were cousins, that were doing a sleepover, a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. And the 13-year-old ended up killing the 8-year-old. She suffocated her. And I don't remember, I think it might have been over a toy or something. I'm not sure. I don't remember what even happened. I just remember that the 13-year-old suffocated the 8-year-old. And then she repositioned the body and just left her like that. And they had cameras, so grandma was able to go back and see what actually happened. So the 13-year-old is going to be charged as an adult. I mean, that's a horrific thing to do, and then to reposition the body to try to get away with it.
It replays in my head constantly, the phone call, the words. I just cried.
In Operation Crime and Justice, new information in the murder of this 8-year-old West Nashville girl. Police say Demaria Hollingsworth was suffocated by her 13-year-old cousin, who has just been indicted for this murder. Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller's live in studio after speaking with this young victim's family.
Yes, Scott, a tough story tonight. I spoke with Demaria Hollingworth's mother and younger sister after the indictment. Now, the DA in Humboldt says that the violent attack while little Demaria was sleeping was caught on video. Attorney General Frederick Adrie says that this is one of the most difficult and brutal cases he's ever seen, especially between a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. Was she your best friend?
5-year-old Ramaya Hollingsworth misses her older sister, Demaria.
I like when she be helping me with stuff. Like she makes my food
Sometimes we make each other laugh and we tickle each other.
Ramaya and her mother, Rihanna Smith, are wearing pins to remember Demiria. Humboldt police found Demiria dead in an upstairs bedroom of a relative's home in Humboldt on July 15th. Investigators have surveillance video that shows 13-year-old Lackawanna Parson using bedding to suffocate her young cousin. The video also shows Parson cleaning blood from the victim's face and repositioning the body under the covers. The mother, Rihanna Smith, is heartbroken.
I went there to protect her, and that hurts because I always tell my kids I'm their protector.
Smith says both her daughters were staying with their father's mother. She wants to see every adult that was there charged. Smith believes everyone needs to be held accountable for neglecting her baby girl.
She was bright. She was intelligent. She was outgoing.
For now, the case against Lackawanna Parson is headed to trial in adult court as Rihanna Smith and her youngest child try to go on with a hole in their hearts.
Since the 13-year-old suspect is being tried as an adult, if convicted, she could be sentenced to a life in prison. In Tennessee, that's at least 51 years before becoming eligible for parole. Reporting from in studio, I'm Caitlin Miller, Fox 17 News.
Christ. That's such a horrible case. I wonder if this is going to be like the other trial that just happened where the 14-year-old ended up getting life. And yeah, Amanda, I was talking about Paris Hilton in the chat. Because she's been through a lot. And there's so much more that we probably don't even know that they've been through. Let's see, let me remove this video. So the next story is coming out of the... Why was there blood on her face? I don't know. She smothered her, so maybe a blood vessel burst or something. That's... I have no idea. I think that's what happens. But yeah, that's pretty horrible. And the fact that she knew what she did and then she cleaned it up, and it's just so cold-hearted. I don't know if there's rehabilitation for something like that. So in the Dallas area, a woman went to a spa to relax, but instead she was assaulted. And this is actually at DFW, the Dallas airport. The Dallas airport's pretty nice. They have they have like nail salon, all sorts of stuff, massage. They have, the Centurion Lounge that Amex has, and a lot of fancy stuff. It's a pretty nice airport. I like it.
In early August, Florida native Sadie Colvis traveled to Idaho Falls, flew back home through DFW Airport Terminal C, where police now confirm she was assaulted.
I remember thinking, is this really happening?
Over Zoom, Sadie told me that during her layover, she got a pedicure, then a massage at Spa Here near gate C12, when she says things went horribly wrong.
And I was like, oh my God, I hope to God, I get out of here.
This is what the top of Sadie's inner thighs looked like after that massage, as documented in an arrest warrant for her masseuse named Xantana Zuniga, now charged with indecent assault. The warrant details how Sadie told Detective Zuniga grabbed and groped her buttocks during the massage and moved the sheet that normally covers private areas, exposing her underwear. Sadie said Zuniga touched right up to her groin, groping her so aggressively she could hardly walk.
I was alone. There was nobody there. During the whole thing, I kept thinking, am I going to get raped? Am I going to get raped? Am I going to get to go home?
Zuniga was arrested more than a month later on an indecent assault charge, and his arrest warrant reveals several other investigations. In fact, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations has 5 investigations into Zuniga per the warrant, one of which is closed, 4 of which are still pending. The warrant says those investigations were opened for either assault or inappropriate touching during a massage.
I'm not going to sleep well until I know that he's not licensed.
Despite his arrest, Zuniga's license has not yet been suspended or revoked, the department confirmed to WFAA in an email Sunday night. Colvis believes she is obligated to share her story until that happens.
And I know that the more people that come forward, the more that can get done. Because my fear is that as long as he's licensed, he's still able to practice, which means there's still going to be another victim.
A spokesperson for DFW said they're deferring all questions about this case to Spa Here because the company operates separately from the airport. Spa Here still has not responded to any of our requests for comment. I did try reaching out to Zuniga, leaving voicemails and text messages for phone numbers associated with him, but still have not heard back. Reporting here in Dallas.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I don't actually use male masseuse. I mean, it sucks that we can't trust even somebody that's licensed not to do that. But yeah, I don't use male masseuses. But we should be able to without fear of something like that happening. It's also ridiculous that it takes that long for someone's license to be revoked. He has that many investigations, it should at least be suspended or something while they investigate. Tash, what was your order that they messed up? I'm glad you got a free donut. I still want a donut. So, a doctor's office in Detroit was raided and they found a full bedroom in what was supposed to be a doctor's office. So, why? Why would a doctor's office have a full bedroom?
Disturbing new revelations coming to light tonight after a doctor's office was raided yesterday in Taylor. Inside the office, something that may surprise you, a bedroom. 78-year-old man from Bloomfield Hills was taken into custody late Tuesday. His clinic and home were raided after police say a years-long investigation led them to both locations.
And Taylor police believe this doctor is one of the worst offenders of pill trafficking they've seen. Sean Lay has been on this story for us from the start. Now, Sean, there's a lot to unpack here.
Truly. So let's give everyone a nice look here. We've isolated a shot of that body camera video here in our news van here. If you take a look at the monitor there, that's the bedroom, not just a bed, but a bedroom inside the clinic that was raided yesterday. Now, is that for sleep studies? Is that for recovery? Or is that for something more? Right now, we're learning from the police chief of Taylor that at least one sexual misconduct claim has already been alleged against this doctor. There may be more to follow. More on that. I'm going to show you the body camera video, but also a mom went right to Taylor police today with an important message. We'll start with her right now.
Yes, it may only be one person, but it's one big person, and they've managed to get him off the street, and I cannot tell you how many people that they've just saved.
We are not identifying this Taylor mom, but when she saw Taylor police raiding this doctor's clinic and putting in cuffs the longtime doctor who ran the clinic for allegedly writing bogus prescriptions to push highly addictive painkillers to thousands of people, this arrest and 4-year Taylor police investigation was personal to her. Her adult child is in recovery. She's living what addiction does to loved ones and to families. She went to Taylor PD today with a message. You felt strongly enough to go to the investigative team today at Taylor Police.
100%.
And what did you tell them?
I'm so grateful for them not giving up, for them seeing it through, for them making a difference.
4 years Taylor police worked on this case. The arrest of this doctor is just the start. Here's what's next. Any other allegations of misconduct from this doctor?
We do have an allegation in the past about some possible sexual misconduct from the doctor. A complaint has been made.
And I can show you a chilling and new part of this investigation. Taylor police body camera video from Tuesday's raid shows you this, a bedroom in the doctor's clinic. It's not a bed. Look, it's a fully outfitted bedroom inside the clinic. Why is there a bedroom in the clinic?
That's a great question. We don't know. And he isn't providing any answers on that. But we did notice there are a couple of cameras that are placed above the bed on an angle that would view that. So we're not sure what's happening with that.
I'm just so grateful that they didn't give up. And because they didn't give up, we're one step closer to making our Taylor community cleaner, safer. I'm grateful.
Back here live, we're hearing a lot from you as well, echoing those same sentiments that they want a safer area with fewer of these prescriptions leading to pills, illegal pill sales flooding our streets. Meantime, no charges yet. That's why we're not naming that doctor as of yet. Investigators are just scratching the surface here. I'm told by the chief they interviewed him late last night. Admissions were made. But again, the investigation, especially with the bed and at least one sexual misconduct allegation, has been made.
I mean, I can guess what the bed's for with a camera. Like, I could assume what he was doing. Bed, camera. I wonder who he chose for those things, like who he decided to make a victim. So another domestic violence story. This one coming out of Harris County. Harris County is actually #1 for domestic violence, partner homicides, unfortunately. So another teenager unfortunately lost their lives, and they're talking about concerns with dating violence. This is something we have to talk about because it's becoming more and more of an issue, and there has to be better resources because I mean, there's really not that many resources, and when a victim calls the police and gets the system involved, they're in more danger than ever.
A teenage girl believed to have been shot and killed by her boyfriend has authorities warning the community about teen dating violence.
21-year-old Thomas Bautista is charged in the murder of 17-year-old Brittany DeBon. That shooting happened at Bautista's Baytown home Sunday morning. He is now in a Harris County jail.
KPRC2 reporter Corley Peel joins us live outside the jail as Domestic Violence Awareness Month kicks off tomorrow. She spoke with a domestic violence expert about teen dating violence. Corley.
Keith and Daniela, Tomas Bautista has been in this jail since yesterday, and at this time there's not a lot of information about his relationship with Brittany DeBon or how things took a violent turn. But I did speak with a domestic violence expert, and she says it's not just teens, but across the board, domestic violence calls are on the rise. Tragedy unfolded inside this Baytown home Sunday morning when deputies say 21-year-old Tomas Bautista opened fire, killing his girlfriend, 17-year-old Brittany DeBon. Bautista's family members told detectives they heard the couple arguing before a shot rang out. DeBon found on the floor unresponsive with a gunshot wound. Bautista took off but eventually came back to the scene where he was taken into custody. That same day, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez posted on social media saying many teens are experiencing dating violence. I spoke with Amy Smith, who is a senior director of operations and communications with the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. What are some signs that teens should look out for when they're dating?
The signs are the same no matter what age you are. It's the red flags that you kind of need to look for is the person's, are they controlling? Do they want to know where your every move is? Do they monitor your text messages? Do they want to know where you are constantly? Are they sort of like cyber stalking you, following your social media, commenting on your social media accounts, on Instagram?
What would you encourage parents share with their children?
I would encourage open and honest communication between a parent and a child. I would encourage that the parent be the safe person, that regardless of what the child is doing, is allowing them to have a safe place to land.
And Bautista is being held here in the Harris County Jail on a $250,000 bond. Those wanting to know more about teen dating violence and information about resources can find that at click2houston.com. Reporting live from downtown.
Yeah, it's so sad. There's so many teenagers that are dealing with this, and when you're young and, you know, depending on your upbringing or the situation, it's not easy to get out of, and once they start doing that, you're already deep in and in love, because they don't start out like that, otherwise they wouldn't have anybody. So another story in Houston. It's yeah, everybody's so mad. Like this story too is also somebody being angry. An ER nurse got beat up in a Houston Whataburger drive-through after she bumped the car in front of her. I mean, depending, there may not have been any damage. And like, I get it. I would be upset too, but I'm not going to fight somebody over that. I mean, how hard could they have possibly hit your vehicle, like going through the drive-through? You're not going super fast. Yeah, so she bumped the SUV in front of her, and so of course somebody recorded it. You know, you see people fighting, people tend to record it. We see this stuff all over social media. But I mean, this might be helpful for the victim. But yeah, no, I'm not. How did her door get open? Well, keep your doors locked. Keep your doors locked and your windows up. Don't. Yeah, don't have your door unlocked ever, and don't roll down your window in the drive-through until you get up there. Like, I'm gonna roll it down like this much to talk to somebody coming at me aggressive. You need to chill.
Only on 2 tonight, an ER nurse was beaten up while waiting in the Whataburger drive-through line. The injured nurse says the assault was caused when she accidentally bumped into the SUV in front of her. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Keith Garvin. Daniela Guzman is off this evening. This happened in Houston's South Side neighborhood along Old Spanish Trail. Our Gage Golding spoke with the victim, who is still dealing with the injuries. Gage.
Yeah, Keith, she has a bruised up face, a busted lip, and even a broken blood vessel in her eye. All of this because she gave somebody a little bump in the drive-through line here at the Whataburger.
Welcome, Whataburger. What can we get for you today?
I ordered a number 13, 2 gravies, and a cinnamon roll with the root beer to drink.
It's this 29-year-old nurse's go-to Whataburger order, a quick meal after a long day on Sunday. Well, what was supposed to be, at least.
I usually put my car in park when there's a long line.
She thought she was in park, so she let her foot off the brake. Her car creeping forward and bumping the vehicle in front of her. In the nurse's words, this is a true accident, but the lady in front, well, she wasn't buying it.
I had rolled down my window to ask, and I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, did I hit your car? And immediately she got out and started screaming, told me to move my car back.
Oh, she said a lot more than just that.
Back the up! You hit my car!
This woman spilling swear words from her mouth that might even make a sailor blush.
No, go that way!
On top of that, she opened the nurse's door and beat her, not once, but twice. This video capturing the second round.
I couldn't really see. I was a little disoriented. She had hit my head.
We're concealing your identity for this interview because you were scared of what she could do to you?
That Whataburger is really close to my house. I would not be surprised if she lived in the same area as me. I just want her to realize that I'm somebody's daughter, just like she is.
I can tell she hurt you not only physically, but also emotionally.
Yeah, the scars will go away. You know, the bruises will heal, the swelling will go down, but I just felt so dehumanized.
All right, so after all this happened, our victim, she went home expecting to see some sort of damage to the front of her car, right? Of course, if somebody was that upset over an accident, you'd expect to see something, but you can see for yourself, not even a scratch on the front of her white sedan. So this is where the Houston police come in. This is where they need your help. They're asking for any information, any tips. If you know who this woman is, please pick up the phone and call. They say the woman is described to be in her late 30s or early 40s. She was driving a dark colored SUV, possibly maybe a dark blue Mercedes SUV is what we're thinking at this time. If you know anything at all, pick up the phone and call Crime Stoppers. Live in the South Side, Gage Golding.
That's so ridiculous. And that kind of vehicle that the nurse was driving is so low to the ground, and the SUV is higher up, so it probably barely touched. It probably hit the metal part on the bottom. I like the Toyota Camry, but I don't like how low they are and that they have like a kit on them basically, so like you hit a parking spot or your car is going to be messed up. But that's so ridiculous. And definitely lock your cars. Always lock your car unless you're actively getting out. There's no reason to have your car unlocked in the drive-through. Wait until you get up to the window. People are insane. Like, you can't expect people to react the way that you would. So we always have to be on guard. Don't automatically treat someone like they're going to act like that, but you have to be on guard, unfortunately. My son got hit by a teen driver in downtown Denver. She was freaking out, and he was so nice to her even though it was inconvenient. Yeah, there's just no reason. I had a young lady hit me in line of traffic that stopped short. I thought of how I would want someone to treat my daughter the same age. Yes, it was inconvenient, not that serious. Yeah, I've been hit a couple times, and I mean, the people that have hit me where I've seen them do it hasn't been that bad, but the people that have hit my car when it's just sitting there is a lot worse. Houston's changed me as a driver. Lindsay, you need to go to Miami and drive around in Miami, and then it's like Mad Max in Miami. Houston, people drive a little bit better, but they're so much angrier. Like, I don't feel like I'm gonna be shot in Miami, but I feel like I'm gonna be shot in Houston. Miami, you're probably going to get hit. I've been hit. I've been in a car accident in Miami. I've been sideswiped in Miami. They don't know how to drive in Miami. That's also probably why insurance rates are so high there. But yeah, people are really angry in Houston, especially. Another violent teenager, a 15-year-old boy, has been charged in the murder of a postal carrier. I believe I shared the story of the postal carrier that was killed. It seemed that the people on her route really enjoyed her and loved her. So a 15-year-old, I believe he's not even from the Chicago area. I think he's from Iowa or something, if this is the story I'm thinking of. Let's see.
Great to have you with us. I'm Joe Donlin.
And I'm Erica Sargent. More than 2 months after the shooting death of a postal worker on the city's south side, police tell us they found her killer in another state.
Our investigator Megan Hickey joins us live now from the post office in Roseland, where Octavia Redmond worked. And Megan, her friends and family were stunned by the news of this arrest today.
Right. They tell me not a day has gone by that they have not thought of Octavia Redmond, who was a very familiar and friendly face here. They still want to know why all of this happened, and they're still fighting for safety improvements for letter carriers.
Why? Hold on.
Now we got to relive it.
Why?
Great.
I didn't even. I had it full screen. Why did you put it in the corner? It put it in the corner. I swear to God. Oh, they have all these extra buttons now that weren't there before. Sorry. Like, I don't want this shit. I don't want these 2 buttons here. I just want this one. It put it down in the bottom.
Have you with us? I'm Joe Donlin.
And I'm Erica Sargent. More than 2 months after the shooting death of a postal worker on the city's south side, police tell us they found her killer in another state.
Our investigator Megan Hickey joins us live now from the post office in Roseland, where Octavia Redmond worked. And Megan, her friends and family were stunned by the news of this arrest today.
Right. They tell me not a day has gone by that they have not thought of Octavia Redmond, who was a very familiar and friendly face here. They still want to know why all of this happened, and they're still fighting for safety improvements for letter carriers.
And now we got to relive it again.
Letter carrier Elise Foster tells me she got the call about an arrest early this morning.
I talked to her husband, Demetrius Redmond, and that's my first call, let him know that my heart goes out to him and that, it's a step in the right direction.
48-year-old Octavia Redmond was fatally shot multiple times while delivering mail in West Pullman on July 19th. The shooter's getaway vehicle was found abandoned and torched in the middle of a Southside field. This surveillance video was the only look we had at the shooter, showing someone getting into a Dodge Durango before the shooting and then running across the street and out of view of cameras after shots were fired. CPD said they tracked this suspect down to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where the 15-year-old was arrested on Monday.
It will never bring her back. That it's a step in the right direction, that someone will pay for the vicious crime that they did.
Redmond's colleagues and Roseland customers alike.
This has been my post office for 48 years.
Were relieved and saddened.
When children commit adult crimes, then that's a whole different story, and it involves all of us because we are parents.
The boy was promptly extradited back to Chicago to face 1 count of first-degree murder. In juvenile court today, he was held in custody, and a follow-up hearing was set for November 1st.
You know, he took a life. Now his life is potentially going to be gone, you know, for the murder. And why? That's a question I'm asking. We all asking why. Why her? What did she do?
And Redmond's death reignited safety concerns here and across the city for letter carriers. Her colleagues are hoping that new legislation could bring some improvements. We'll have much more on that coming up at 6. But for now, live and Rose.
Yeah, it's definitely dangerous for postal workers, and people are breaking into the secure boxes. We can't even have mailboxes anymore. I miss mailboxes. Like, I want to buy a ridiculous mailbox. I want like a dolphin mailbox, a manatee mailbox, something. But no, can I have it? No, because we don't do mailboxes anymore. We have those mail things with keys and, has to be all barricaded in there, but people still break into it and steal shit. And it's very dangerous to be a postal worker now. Like 10 years ago, would I be a postal worker? Sure. Now, absolutely not. They don't pay them enough for that shit. Like, no. And at 15 years old, another teenager throwing their life away for murder. We don't have mailboxes, Amanda. We don't have mailboxes here. Those don't exist here. Nowhere I've lived in Texas has had like individual mailboxes. Yep. Do not put checks in the mail. Don't ever put checks in the mail. Like, I do not recommend that at all whatsoever. Pay online if you can. Do not mail checks. They get stolen very often. So another execution, this one in Texas. This was a Houston man that was executed for the murder of the twin girls. The victim's family was there for this execution.
Thank you for joining us at 10. I'm Keith Garvin. Daniela is off tonight. New at 10 tonight. After several last-minute appeals, tonight the state of Texas carried out the execution of 61-year-old Garcia Glenn White. The former Wheatley High School football star was found guilty of murdering twin 16-year-old girls and their mother in Houston back in 1989. Annette and Burnett Edwards were the twins. The case remained cold for 6 years until White was brought in for questioning in a different murder, admitting to 5 in all. Here's KPRC2 investigator Robert Arnold, who witnessed White's execution tonight in Huntsville.
The state of Texas carried out the execution of Garcia Glenn White at 6:56 p.m. He did give a final statement. He accepted responsibility for what he had done, and he apologized to the families of his victims. He then sang the hymn, "I Trust in God."
I really come here to support the victims, and their families are never made whole by the executions, but at least the legal process finally comes to a conclusion.
Family members for Greta Williams and High Fam declined to make a public statement after witnessing the execution of Garcia Glenn White. Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg spoke on their behalf.
The suffering that the surviving family members have gone through is just unspeakable. They've waded through appeal after appeal after appeal.
White was linked to 5 murders. The first was Greta Williams in 1989. In December of the same year, Bonita Edwards and her twin 16-year-old daughters, Annette and Burnett, were murdered.
It is brutal, stabbing deaths, beating deaths, things that cause these victims a great deal of pain in their last moments of life.
The murders went unsolved until 1995 when High Fam was beaten to death during a robbery of his convenience store. White was arrested and started confessing. He was convicted and sentenced to die for the sisters' murders. During his final statement, White told the families, "I apologize and I am sorry for all the pain I have caused." White tried to appeal his death sentence, claiming rampant cocaine use fueled a violent psychosis.
Garcia White was educated. He knew what he was doing.
One piece of information that we learned tonight from Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg: White was actually considered the prime suspect in the murder of Greta Williams when she was killed in 1989, but at the time there wasn't enough evidence to connect him to the murder, and as a result, he was no-billed by a grand jury. Reporting from Huntsville, Robert Arnold.
When was he convicted of this? the photos look like they were older. Garcia. I don't know when this happened. Let's see. 35 years ago. Yeah, that's a really long time. 1989. Yeah, I was 6 when this happened. It's a really long time for someone to be on death row. So another safety issue is meeting up with people from the internet. Sometimes when you're meeting up to sell something, you get robbed, or there's been cases of women that are on dating apps and set guys up to be robbed and things like that. So something like that happened in the Philadelphia area. He had set up a meetup on social media and ended up getting shot once he met up with them. Like, I don't even want to meet people. If it's not a public thing and there's not a lot of people, I'm not going.
The search is on for a woman accused of shooting a man she met on social media. We're live with the latest on the investigation. Plus, the death toll is growing and the devastation is unimaginable in North Carolina. Tonight, crews are still trying to reach residents who've been cut off. And in our one tank trip, we are taking you to a museum that celebrates sports. It's one of the largest collections of memorabilia in the nation, and it's just a quick drive away.
And now the details. Philadelphia police are searching for a woman who shot a man in East Mount Airy. Investigators say the two met on social media and things turned violent. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson live at police headquarters with the latest on the investigation. Becca.
Rick, as police search for this suspect, they are warning the public that she should be considered armed and dangerous. They say she allegedly shot a man she met on social media after he came to her neighborhood. This is 20-year-old Vanessa Greystone, considered armed and dangerous, wanted in connection with the shooting Monday in East Mount Airy. Police say it happened in this alley off of the 1500 block of East Johnson Street around 5 p.m. The victim, a 29-year-old man, initially told police he was making a food delivery. Sources tell Action News that's not true. It was a social media meetup gone wrong. Investigators found 6 spent shell casings, most at the opening of the driveway where the victim was found. Ezra Walliser heard the shots.
Heard 3 shots, turn around, I see 2 legs sticking out from underneath the front of his car.
Walliser says the victim screamed for help. Several people called 911. Officers scooped the victim and brought him to Einstein Medical Center, where he's in critical condition.
You know, to see something like this happen, it's just really, sad to see that, that's what our world is coming to.
Stanley Stocker said his first reaction when he heard the shots was to make sure his teenage son was safe.
But I am sad that, it's happening in our neighborhood and where children are walking and, it's just not safe. So we're just, hoping things just get better.
Again, police saying that Greystone should be considered armed and dangerous. One distinction, too, from that picture you saw of her. Police say her hair is now red, not blue. Live at police headquarters, Becca Hendrickson, Channel 6.
So her hair is bright and colorful. I wonder if she's changed her hair because, yeah, you're going to stand out. Yes, Steve did lose power because of the storm. There's a very big tree, too, that's blocking the way in. So they might have some other issues. I don't know if that's been broken up yet, too. He fared pretty decent, but he hasn't had power. I don't know if he's gotten power back yet. Alright, so some of these videos I'm going to save for tomorrow. I have a couple more that I'm going to play, and then I'm going to let y'all go. I always have too many videos. So, oh wait, hold on, here we go. So I have these 2 videos left. And then I'm going to do a couple non-crime videos. So yesterday there was a hearing in court for the sheriff that shot the judge. I almost said the judge that shot the sheriff. Steve is Defense Diaries. I have no idea. Steve is in Appalachia. Where exactly, I don't know. Well, I know his family's from there. I think he still lives near there. I don't know. He's in one of those areas, but he doesn't have power. So new details came out yesterday in court for the sheriff that had shot the judge. He did shoot the judge multiple times. He went through the phones, called his daughter from the judge's phone, and clearly something made the sheriff very angry from the video. I'm going to play the news clip that they did on it. I don't know if the video is in there. I did see the video on social media. It is really hard to see, so I don't know if they're going to show it, but just warning you guys.
Eastern Kentucky Sheriff.
Now, play.
Sheriff was in a courtroom today as shocking new details were released in the death of a district court judge.
Former Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins retired effective yesterday. Police say he shot and killed District Judge Kevin Mullins inside the courthouse on September 19th. We do want to warn you that some of the details in this story may be disturbing to some viewers. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has more on what took place during a preliminary hearing this afternoon. He joins us with our top story at 5.
The preliminary hearing was moved to Morgan County after the deadly shooting in Letcher County about a week and a half ago. Kentucky State Police testifying about what happened on that September afternoon, a series of events that resulted in a district judge shot and killed and a sheriff charged with his murder. A shocked courtroom after seeing surveillance video played of a deadly shooting in a judge's chambers. Prosecutor Jackie Steele simply asked the detective who the people were in the video.
That was Sheriff Mickey Steins and Judge Kevin Mullins.
And also, who had the firearm?
Sheriff Steins.
That was the basis of the questioning from the Commonwealth. But Steins' attorney questioned about the witnesses who saw or knew about the shooting. The detective said those interviews were done by others and are still being processed. They're also reviewing the content of phones owned by Steins and Mullins.
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
The detective confirmed that Steins' daughter's number was also on the judge's phone. Detective Stamper also talked of Steins' demeanor after the shooting.
Mostly calm, I thought. I mean, I talked to him, but he didn't say nothing about why this had happened.
Now, the next phase of this will be a grand jury possibly considering an indictment, and that's after probable cause was found. Probable cause does not mean guilt, and a grand jury will likely consider this case over the next couple of weeks. In Morgan County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Steins remains in the Leslie County Jail. He retired yesterday. The Letcher County Sheriff's Office announced that Billy Jones was sworn in today as the new sheriff.
Well, if he's found not guilty, he can keep his keep his retirement. Everything that I've heard about the sheriff's daughter, she is a minor. But I've heard people say 13, 15, 17. I have no idea how old she is. So if anyone has any concrete evidence how old his daughter is. And because of the song, I keep mixing up judge and sheriff on who shot who. But it's a sad story. Yeah, so she is a minor. Definitely knew she's a minor. And I wonder what else is going to come out. Why is her number in his phone? Why is the sheriff's daughter's number in the judge's phone? So I think there's a lot that's going to come out in this case, especially, knowing the deputies were using the judge's chambers to, sexually assault inmates and all that stuff. So in the YSL trial in Georgia, that trial has been a shit show for a while, and it switched judges and all that. So the defense again asked for a mistrial, and the judge has had it. The judge is not a fan of the prosecution, and I don't think anybody really is. But yeah, so the judge had some words to say.
The YSL RICO trial is back in a Fulton County courtroom today following tense exchanges and even another call for a mistrial just to start the week off.
Monday, Judge Paige Reese Whitaker expressed her frustration with the prosecution, criticizing their disorganization and handling of the case. The judge's comments came after a dispute over hearsay evidence, leading Young Thug's attorney to call for a mistrial yet again. Judge Whitaker ultimately denied the motion, attributing the issues to poor lawyering rather than intentional misconduct. Take a listen.
But honestly, after a certain number of times, you start to wonder how it could be anything but that, unless it is just that you are so unorganized that you are throwing this case together as you try it. And I am sorry to say that, but this case is being made much more difficult for everybody because of the haphazard way in which it is being presented.
Yeah, Judge Whitaker really coming down on Assistant DA Love there after not presenting her documents in a timely fashion multiple times. This trial is already the longest in Georgia state history. It involves Atlanta rapper Young Thug, whose legal name is Jeffrey Williams. Young Thug is accused of being the co-founder of the alleged criminal street gang Young Slime Life. We've been following this trial since May of 2022. Right now on our website, you can find this interactive timeline with the key dates in the case. Head to 11alive.com and type YSL timeline in the search bar.
Texas doctors are
YSL timeline. I'm going to have to look at that. Hold on. Oh, I have to be more specific because YSL is also a fashion. I'll look into that in a minute. But yeah, I don't think that this case is going to be going much longer. I think that the defense might get a mistrial actually because they're over it. But yeah, I'm going to see if I can find that timeline. So he retired. So back to the sheriff, he retired because he can. He's not officially charged yet. Well, no. He's been charged, but he's not convicted is what I meant. He hasn't been convicted, so he can technically get his retirement for now. And plus, it kind of gets it out of the way so he can do the right thing and have somebody else step in as sheriff, because it would be pretty crappy for him not to step down. So they have a sheriff. But anyway, so Texas doctors are concerned because there has been a rise in babies born with syphilis. A year ago, the news reported an uptick in syphilis in pregnant women. Because there was a decline, doctors weren't testing as much for syphilis. So if you do get tested for STDs, which you should, everybody should, make sure that they're testing for syphilis. And if you're pregnant, you should be getting tested every few months just to make sure, because unfortunately you never know.
concerned about the rising number of babies born with syphilis. Now they want pregnant women to know what to do to prevent their babies from getting the disease. Fox 4's Sean Rabb reports.
Pregnant women are on the state health department's radar after a 5-year continued increase in the number of babies born with the sexually transmitted disease, syphilis.
State health department noted, I think between 2017 and 2022, that there was like a 400% increase in the number of cases of congenital syphilis. We locally have definitely seen those same significant increases in numbers. And it's also been seen nationally.
This past Friday, a summit about congenital syphilis, doctors meeting in Houston.
The spike in congenital syphilis is probably a multifold problem. One is that syphilis had actually almost completely gone away and had become much more rare. And so because of that, a lot of physicians and providers have not been testing for it as much.
Starting in 2019, state law changed, requiring 3 tests for syphilis during pregnancy. The first, at the first prenatal visit, then during the third trimester and at delivery.
We need your help to ensure that Texas women receive these screenings.
Women who are not being told about the testing should ask. And new technology made testing better.
And so we probably also picked up on a bunch of cases that we didn't know about prior.
For infectious disease specialist Dr. Emma Dishner, testing is key.
These women do not become impregnated by themselves usually. And so I think testing their partners and testing other sexually active men is also an important part of this.
The infection is treatable with a shot of penicillin. At one time, a shortage in the supply chain, but now readily available and can prevent debilitating illnesses in newborns or even worse.
If it's untreated, it can be 40% fatality rate among the babies that are born.
Sean Rabb, Fox 4.
Yeah, so there is a rise all over the country with this, not just Texas. And yeah, I like how she said that you don't normally make a baby alone, usually, because, there are some exceptions. Psst, 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 psst. Come here. My cat just came in, so have to make sure I show her a little bit. Say good morning. Good morning. And since I have 2 computers and multiple cameras now, I might set up a cat cam if I can get her to stay in one place. And the dog, one of them to stay in a place so I can have another camera showing them. Because I can't have 2 cameras on the same computer going. But yeah, I'm going to try to set up an additional camera. If she stays in her tree, then, y'all could look at her there. The tree's right across. Let me just show. There she is in all of her glory and all of her cat toys. All of that's hers, except for the mirror, obviously. But she has a cat tube, a little hut, a little thing on the bottom that moves around. And she has stolen the hamper. That hamper is hers. So all of that's for the cat on the other side. So going to try to set something up. I'm going to test it out later today. So I have our happy news next. And of course, I love showing animals.
All right, there is a...
So a San Francisco dog is a deckhand. And that's awesome. I love that. I love dogs with jobs.
All right, there is a long, deep maritime history in the Bay Area. Countless generations of workers have made their living on the sea.
And there's one unlikely worker who's busy learning the ropes out on the docks. Here's NBC's Joe Rosado Jr.
In an industry that plies its trade on the docks of San Francisco's Fisherman's Wharf, a good crew is a necessity.
Good morning, sir.
Captain Joe Nazar of San Francisco Whale Tours found a solid deckhand.
Good boy.
And man's best friend.
Dressing Bear for work.
On board the Kitty Cat.
I'm just getting our vessel ready to go.
It's a German Shepherd named Bear who's learning to pull his weight.
Get it, Bear. Good boy. Bear was a gift from my wife and my daughter in the year 2019. All right, I'm gonna do line 2. From the day he was on the boat, the crews have always interacted with him. They would play with him, they would throw him a rope. He would grab the lines and help me. Good boy.
Unlike most deckhands, when Bear goes to work, he draws a crowd.
I have a reel full of people watching me untie the boat every morning. That's all you got? It became really a lot of help during the pandemic because when we were short-staffed, how would you throw a line to yourself? All right, we got to take people whale watching. Let's go. Good morning, whale watchers. Welcome aboard the Kitty Cat.
When the Kitty Cat heads out to sea with a boat full of passengers looking for whales, it would appear to be rest time.
Oh, no, he's working right now. That's what he's doing.
Inasmuch as Bear is skilled at pulling ropes, Nazar claims his real talent is finding whales.
He'll let us know when the whale is within the proximity and whale time. See that? Man, he's amazing. All right, the dog is giving me indication, folks. Second whale, 1 o'clock. And the whale dog did it again.
Well, fact or fiction, Bear's skills gained the appreciation of Nazar's other crew members, sister ecologists Olive and Sophie Belair, who launched Bear into stardom with his own TikTok channel.
Good boy. Good boy.
I saw the opportunity and people on the internet loved watching him, so just kept rolling with it.
Good boy. His videos have now made him perhaps the world's most famous deckhand.
His most is 5.1 million views so far.
Thank you for supporting us.
In fact, Nazar wonders whether customers come for the whales or Bear.
We've had an incredible amount of people coming because they do want to see Bear.
But as much as Bear is loved here on the docks, that wasn't always the case.
Basically adopted him out of was a situation of just, they didn't want him. He's always yelling at me.
Turns out, as deckhands go, Bear's biggest asset may be that of a loyal companion.
You're definitely never alone if you want a friend.
Good boy. A true necessity on the docks of Fisherman's Wharf. Joe Rosado Jr.
I just wish he could pick stocks.
NBC Area News.
He can find the whales, but wish he could pick stocks, as Dad says. I have a life vest for my dog, too, when we went to the lake, because she's kind of top-heavy. They can swim, but, you know, just in case. Like, Sharpay can swim. I put the YSL timeline in the chat if y'all are interested to look at it. It's been a long time. It's been way too long, this trial. They just need to hurry up and do a mistrial, because it's just costing the taxpayers too much money. And, guys, the zoo, the Thailand zoo that has Mudang, Zoodio Thailand, Zoodio, Thailand is their channel. They have a 24-hour live stream. So right now, it looks like there's a hippo over here. And you can hear the birds and stuff, too. Hear all the birds. But, yeah, so if you guys are interested in checking that out, I'll put that in the chat, too. Their channel. If I can click on the link. But yeah, I love that hippo. Yeah, I saw the SNL skit. I thought it was funny. So there is the link in the chat for that live stream. I know it's relaxing sounding too. Look at the little hippo. Anyway. So that's going to be it for today. I'm planning on being back tomorrow morning as well. I'm going to move the videos I didn't finish over to tomorrow. Well, I hope everybody has a beautiful day. Today is hump day. I hope that you're making it through the week all right. And I hope that the happy little videos at the end help. I appreciate you guys so much. I love you all. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye, y'all.